listening to Ambitious AF, a podcast that will help you level up, find positivity, and put yourself on top right now and every day for the rest of your life. I'm your host, Caroline Lewis, and each week I will bring you a guest or thought that will motivate you to get out of bed every morning with the willingness to succeed. Being ambitious means you are proud of who you are and everything you've accomplished. Only you can make that happen, though. But with the help of this podcast, you will rise to the top. You will find success. You will believe in yourself and manifest happiness. And most importantly, you will become ambitious AF. I know you are eager to begin, so let's get started.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another podcast episode. We have officially hit double digits. This is episode number 10 of Ambitious AF. I'm your host, Caroline Lewis. Thank you, as always, for all the love, support, and downloads. Today, we have yet another special guest. I'm loving this interview bandwagon I've got going on. So today, we have Jessica with Nailey Naturals. And she's just going to kind of talk with me. It's just going to be like a fun girl talk about her business, how she got there, and we're, of course, going to talk about ambition and what that looks like. So without further ado, because I like to keep these to like 20 to 30 minutes, hi, Jessica. So
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining. If you want to just, touch base with who you are, your business, how you got started, and all that jazz.
Sure. My name is Jessica, and I am based out of Minneapolis. I am the owner and founder of Nailey's Naturals, and what that is it is a bath and body line that is tailored around breastfeeding mothers and their babies. A lot of people hear breastfeeding and just think it solely deals with the breast, but my products are tailored to not affect the milk supply for mothers because a lot of things that we use on our skin can actually affect the milk supply.
Wow.
So I have done lots of research to make sure, that won't happen. And for myself, that was a big struggle when I was breastfeeding after having my daughter. So that was something that really inspired me to start this. And those other things that I was putting on my skin were breaking her out as well as myself. So I was like, oh no, I have to protect my baby.
Yeah.
So that was like the big thing for me when I started.
That is awesome. And that's like, so two things on that. First, it's just so cool how as I connect with different entrepreneurs, it just, you show in like your passion around obviously why you started this. Like you had a physical issue and or thought process and you're like, I'm going to just make this better, which I love that. Talk about being ambitious. But also, it's funny because I think we never really think about what we're eating or like putting on our skin. When I don't have kids, but my older sister has, so I have a little niece and we live just down the door from each other. So I was there from like the whole labor, the birth, the whatever. But then also she kept talking about things like that she could and couldn't eat. But it's interesting because no one really talks about what you should and shouldn't be like putting on your body because that all gets absorbed into like your bloodstream, which of course will go out when you're breastfeeding, right?
Yep.
Wow,
sure
that's crazy. That's so interesting. Oh, and then of course you're making the baby a lot more healthier and more comfortable because especially if they're like squeamish, because I know sometimes babies get like a little weird around the breastfeeding time. It's like they know they're hungry, but something's upsetting their tummy a little bit. And you've literally broken it down to the fact that, well, maybe it's something the mom is using that the baby doesn't like.
Yep.
Wow, that's really cool. I love that. Good for you. That's awesome. So how long have you had your business?
I've had it for a year now.
Okay.
I actually was doing it kind of on and off as like a little side hobby. It started, I believe, when I was 7 or 8 with my grandmother. She used to make her own soap and things because she lived out in the country. And then they used pig lard and things like that. So I'm like, we can leave the lard there and we'll try some other things.
Oh, that's so cool. So what kind of product do you have in your business?
I have different varieties. I do soaps, and we also have things like bath bombs. We have teas, like as soon as you come out, like we have some herbal teas to help with different things. I also have like bath soaps because after having a baby, things can get really sensitive.
Yes,
and they're
I
just
bet.
to help calm and soothe
I love
that area.
Yeah.
Man, those were a lifesaver.
I
I'll tell you.
bet. That's awesome. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's so cool. I'm gonna have to tell my sister because, of course, I'm not married or I don't see kids in my near future, but I do in my later future. But she's married with one, and I think, of course, they're gonna try for another and so forth. But yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna let her know because soaking in a bath with nice calming things that help after giving birth, I'm sure is much needed. That's awesome. So,
definitely.
do you ever you realize that you've created like a whole business, a whole new philosophy, but also you've built something that solves a pain point in a lot of moms. You should be super proud of yourself. I don't know if you've ever thought of it like that, but that's really cool.
I haven't until just now. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, she does make a point. I just kind of just think about it as I'm just trying to help out other moms.
Yeah, and I mean a lot of entrepreneurs, we're givers, right? So we like see some type of neglected area in the marketplace, and we listen to our audience to figure out what their issue, problem, whatever is, and we try to find a different way, a new way to solve it. But we don't really ever think of it like that because we're so focused on making sure that our product is serving our customers, which of course like that's with you. You're so focused on making sure your product is serving mothers because you've struggled personally with all this and you've seen other people's struggles. So now you've created this whole new marketplace specifically to mothers to make them feel better after giving a child, which I think the female body is absolutely miraculous to be able to create another human and give birth to it. I'm in awe. Women are so strong.
Indeed.
So which leads me to like the ambitious. And to be honest, I wanted to start my podcast a long time ago, but I was struggling with what the name was, because of course your name is like your style and your voice and your vibe. And I finally came down to Ambitious AF because first off, I think like the AF is just kind of like funny and it's in with
Right.
the times, right? But also the word ambition to me means a lot because I think like most entrepreneurs, but not all, most of us would consider ourselves super ambitious. And yesterday I had a call with a girl, and she was talking about how being ambitious is like loving yourself unconditionally to the point that you're confident in all the decision making that you do. So for you, what does being ambitious mean?
Somewhat similar
Yeah.
to that, but for me, it was simply you're going at it with no strings attached. There is nothing holding you back. No
that.
fear, no family, no friends holding you back, because I have had lots of people, put little bugs in my ear. Because before I had my daughter, I was in the corporate world.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone, are you going to go back? Are you going to go back? Yeah, this is something that could be okay, but you need money now. And that was like, you know what? I'm trying to create something to help other people and to be able to provide for my own child.
Yeah.
And when you have that ambition, you don't let fear and other people stop you. So I have not gone back. I have been going gung-ho in this, and it has been paying off, and I couldn't be happier, honestly.
Oh my gosh. I love that. See, and I have like chills. I get so excited when I hear other people describe what ambition means to them, because every single person, it's been different so far, and your version, I mean, it's so true, because when you are, I mean, society pretty much embeds in us since like we're young. You go to school, you get an education, you go into the corporate world, you get a 401k, and if you're like the 1% or 5% or whatever that has this crazy idea to launch something their own, it's like, oh my gosh, don't do that. You're not going to be safe and secure. Like, what are you going to do financially? How are you going to provide for your family or yourself or your health? And it's like crazy to kind of think that society pushes us away from that so much, but I admire those who are like, I don't care what you say. I'm doing this. I'm passionate enough about it. I know that I'll succeed because it's something that I want to do day in and day out. And that I can definitely see that in you. I mean, you're like the epiphany of, I used to be working in corporate and then I wanted to do this, right? I wanted to solve this problem with moms and now I love doing it and nothing's going to stop me. So I love that. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. So kind of, and it's cool how all this leads together. So leading into our next question, which is one piece of advice that you would give someone who's looking to launch a business, whether they are just starting out. So like, I know a lot of young people don't even want to go to college because they aspire to be entrepreneurs and they have this solution that they've been wanting to put on the marketplace, or maybe they've gone through college and instead of getting a job right away, they wanted to like start their own company. I know a lot of people like that. Or even if you've been working corporate for 20 or 30 years and you're just like, enough's enough, I want to finally launch my business. What is one piece of advice that you'd give to those people?
You stick with it.
Yeah.
It is not going to be easy. There are going to be times where you question yourself, you question your sanity. You're like, if I just go back to doing what I was doing before, I know I'll be able to do X, Y, and Z. During those times, you're right about to break through. So keep on pushing.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I totally agree. I think, because I went from like, the typical, I went to college, I got a degree, but I actually realized a little too late that I actually got a degree in equine horses, and I realized like I didn't want to go to vet school because I didn't want to do the schooling for another 4 years after college and also have all that debt. But it was like a little too late in my education to like switch majors, so I stuck with it, and then I took a job right after college in the horse industry, and I hated it. I mean, I was miserable, and I think that job and living that life for a year, I had it for just about 2 years. It just like completely flipped me. I just like matured to a whole new level, but I also became such an angry person because you don't, like I like woke up and I didn't want to do my job, but you work, more than you live. So it took me a while, and then I went and I did corporate thinking like, well, maybe I'll have, that safe, secure corporate job. I hated it. And then I moved to manage my dad's business. So it's in the family business, which is a lot more lenient, a little bit more closer to that entrepreneurial, but not really. So my dad has been an entrepreneur his entire life. So he always jokes like saying his girls, he can't force entrepreneurship on anyone because I have 3 sisters. And it's funny how some of us like working corporate and then some of us don't. And I'm definitely like, even working for him, I'm just like, I love you, Dad, but I've got to do my own thing. And I'm 28 realizing this. The biggest thing for me is I want to be able to wake up every single morning, and I talk about this in my intro, with the willingness to succeed. And when you don't have any passion for your job, it's super hard to succeed in any area of life because you're just like, you're so miserable. And it's so sad that people are scared because they're afraid of finances and healthcare and 401k, that they won't accept something else that could potentially make them 1,000,000 times more happy.
That is so
right?
True. Like all that just resonates so hard. And I think back to other jobs that I had that I had no passion about.
Yeah. Oh, there it goes.
I had like no passion about it.
Yeah.
I would get up and just hated it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, I need to have a paycheck so I can pay my bills.
Yeah.
So I can go to the doctor if I want to.
Yeah.
And that's no way to live.
I know.
It's really not.
I mean,
it's like a prison.
It is, yeah. And you're doing more harm on your body than good, because I am a firm believer that stress is a killer. And I honestly believe that if you are in a constant state of stress, which you are if you don't like your job, that you're going to die at an early age. And you're going to have so many aches and ailments and digestive issues, health issues, skin issues. You know, even it comes down to like trying to get pregnant. If you're stressed, it just like messes up all of that.
Oh, you touched that. Do you know me?
Yeah.
Do you know me?
I'm good at reading people.
All of that. I had heart problems.
Yeah.
I couldn't eat right.
Yep.
I was having trouble getting pregnant. You've been spying on me,
Yeah.
haven't you?
No, I just, yeah. I mean, because I obviously haven't tried to get pregnant, but like I had really bad digestive issues, and it affects like, well, it affects your confidence hugely, right? Because you're just like so bloated, but it affects your energy. And I went from being like a little crazy Energizer bunny, probably like pre-college, probably in college, but then it's like the minute you work a job. And the minute I started working jobs that I hated, it's just like my energy level declined so bad that I actually went to the doctors for it. And he was like, you have I'm trying to think of, you have 100% adrenal fatigue. So like normally your adrenal glands should spike and like give you energy as you wake up, and then they shut down at night before you go to bed. But mine was like, it was just there. It didn't spike. It didn't do anything. So it got me thinking a lot about like, okay, well, obviously, what am I doing every day? I'm working. You
Right.
work more than you have off, more than you can enjoy life. So I finally, and this was like, it took me years to be like, enough is enough. And I'm trying to get it out to the world that I don't care what age you are. If you are close to retirement or not, if you are not living an amazing life, right? If you don't have that love for yourself, that respect for yourself and others, and if you don't wake up every morning, and now it doesn't have to be every single morning until you die, right? But if you don't wake up about 90% of every morning excited, then you're doing something wrong, right? You got to change something.
Yep.
So we're kind of like derailing from the topic, which I love doing anyways.
It's all right.
Okay, so yeah, perfect. Okay, so we'll so this is awesome. So another question would be, what are 3 things that you do for yourself that you would recommend for others when it comes to those self-care days? Because I'm all about self-care days. I think we need them every day, but a lot of people, they utilize the weekends for that. So what are some things, especially you being in like the all natural field and like obviously creating all of this amazing product for women, how do you de-stress? How do you take care of yourself?
The first thing, which I feel is so, so important, that we often neglect, check in with your mental health. That is a big thing, especially after you've had a child. Your hormones are different, your body is different, and your mental state is different. And that is a big thing, even if that's just, writing it down, just how you've been feeling, talking to your partner or a trusted friend. Those things can have such a huge impact on your body.
Yeah.
And I stress that because when I was pregnant and afterwards, I had postpartum depression. And it was scary because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And I sought help, and I am in such a better place. And I'm so glad that I did it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
that's number one.
I mean, yeah, I know. Mental health is so good. And self-care, I think people are just like, oh yeah, I do self-care. Like, I take a bath, or I read a book, or I take time for myself. But they don't, right? It's like, you need to get off the phones. You need to get off the internet. You need to just chill out without people around you, right? Without your kids, your dog, your spouse. You just need to take time to check in with yourself and to see how you're aligning with yourself. I'm all about, my mom actually passed away just 2 years ago from cancer, and it happened pretty darn quickly. And after that, I hit a really negative state in my life. So it took me a while, but I got into a lot of manifestation work and everything like that. So I now finally understand that, your energy and your vibration for yourself affects your everyday life. And that all comes down to the mental health. And, I see people struggle with it all the time, and it's hard. You can't just like turn it on and off. I think if you're struggling mentally, it's so easy to let all of those triggers get in and affect your mental capabilities in a negative way versus versus taking the good stuff and running with it. Because it's so much easier to be sad. I also think like the society feeds off your sadness more than your happiness, which I don't understand why, because especially the media, like they try to talk about mental health and depression and suicide so much, but they never really talk about the happy things. It's always like if you are in this negative state, and I firmly believe even with like everything with the whole COVID thing going on now, if enough of us had a more positive energy, we'd be able to fight this thing a lot quicker than everyone blowing up and freaking out in a negative state. It's totally scary, right? I am not saying anything against that. It's something new. It's foreign. We don't know how to handle it, but we have to like have gratitude and understand that like things happen, but continue to fight for the positive outcomes.
Yep.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
so
true.
I could talk about that for for hours. But I mean, it's not something that you can just like turn on and on. And especially like postpartum depression, after you have a kid, you've got to work at it. And I am sure it can. I've just heard stories, and just from hearing, it is terrifying because it's new, and like you said, your hormones are all over the place, and it's definitely something that you need to seek some type of expert help to get you through it. Because even if you think you're getting over it naturally, like on your own, it could even mess up, right? I think so. It can mess up like your next pregnancy. It can mess up your mental capacity in the long run, right?
Yep. Yeah. And a mother's body doesn't start returning to normal until a year after she has her child. So if you think about that, like I've had a child, and 12 months later, my body is still not even close to where it was before I got pregnant. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah. So, and that, I mean, the same thing with your mind, right? Your mind's part of your body. So it takes your mind probably a good year. I mean, it has to take a good year because you're used to like not having this incredible human being to take care of. And now it's like up all the time. You're sleep deprived. You could be in a state of depression, right? You're trying to figure out breastfeeding, which I heard can get super painful sometimes. And then your baby grows and it's like they're running into things and they're eating things they shouldn't. And it's just like, It's amazing though. Parents are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, if you think about it, every single person in this entire earth is the person they are because of their parents, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? So parents and being a parent is probably, actually, to me, it is the most ambitious accomplishment that you can have, because you are telling the universe and yourself that you're ready to, and sometimes you're not ready. I understand things happen, but like you're ready to bring a life into this world and show this little baby the ins and outs of living. It's crazy.
Being a parent is scary work.
Yeah.
Like you said, I am solely responsible for her making it day by day. Yeah. And that's a lot of pressure in itself.
A lot of pressure. I know. On top of like when they run into the wall, right? And
right. Or like, hey, this is a cord. I think I might want to eat this. No.
Or you look over and the dog's licking their mouth and you're just like, no, ew, that's so gross.
Right.
I watch my niece and and I love watching her. She's like my favorite person in the whole world and we have an amazing relationship. But I'm just like, no, I have to plug all of my outlets. I have to make sure I can see her all the time. Like when she was a little baby, I would have her sleep over, and I don't know how parents sleep. Every hour I was like, are you breathing? And I would like look over her and make sure she was breathing. And yeah, it's stressful, but it's so fun because when they get to like the age and they're talking and they're giggly and they're just being silly, I took a video of my niece picking her nose, and she tried to wipe it on me, and she thought it was the funniest thing ever, and it was gross, but it was so cute. So I love that. Well, we'll wrap it up, but thank you so much for creating a solution for women, because I honestly think we don't get enough credit when it comes to pregnancies and the aftermath, because we're just like supposed to be like, okay, zip it up and move on. But, creating things that help the aftermath and just make life a little bit more comfortable and stress-free is definitely a must. So thank you for creating your business. That's amazing. Awesome. So if we wrap it up, where can people listening to this, where can they find you and your business?
We are on Facebook and Instagram. It's Nailey Naturals. And then I have a website. It's naileynaturals.com.
Okay.
So you can find all the stuff those places.
Perfect. And you can shop directly from your website?
Yes.
Okay. And do you ship United States or?
I do.
Cool.
I do.
Awesome. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, we will wrap this episode up. That was almost 30 minutes, but I could have gone on forever. So thank you, Jessica, so much for tuning in, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode. As always, I love feedback, so feel free to send me a message or comment, share this, what have you. I think this was an awesome episode. I learned a lot, and I just love getting inspired from other ambitious female entrepreneurs. So with that being said, tune in next week, and I'll chat with you later. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you got some value or just feel fired up, I would love for you to take a screenshot and tag me in your Instagram stories. It's always so motivating to see you getting the inspiration you needed to level up for my podcast. I'm going to keep showing up and bringing my best self to these episodes, and I encourage you to do the same. If you think a friend or family member would enjoy this episode, I would love for you to share the ambition. I can't wait to chat next week, but until then, keep being ambitious AF.